Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Tuesday morning to you all. Hope you guys are having a great start to your day. Great week out there so far. Got you an update this morning on what's going to happen today, really specifically because today is going to be a very active day. It's already an active morning. There's a lot going on as this surface low is getting pulled around this upper trough, if you will. It's beginning to strengthen. The blizzard is beginning to crank up. You got some thunder snow out there. You got thunderstorms. You got tornado warnings. It's all cranking up this morning. So really in this video, and I know in the last two morning videos, I focused in on everything, and I'm still going to touch over everything going on that I've been touching over the last few videos, but we're going to get very much more detailed on what's happening today because we have an enhanced risk, we have a tornado risk, and there's just a lot going on for today specifically, so I feel like it should take more of this video's attention because the weather today can impact a lot of people's lives. So we're going to break this down for you guys, figure it out, and then obviously stay tuned for tonight. Tonight's going to be a weird night. I got some things going on, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to drop the video a little bit earlier or if it's going to be much later, but just stay with me. Some things might change with that. But we'll break it all down, talk about the pattern change and things like that. If you guys have not subscribed, consider doing that. Like the video if you do like it, and I really appreciate you guys supporting the big-time growth over the last 5 days. Has really been amazing to see. These videos have been very long, and I had a comment saying, why are your videos so long? Well, there's 4 or 5 topics to talk about, and until we start knocking out and making all these topics to past, it's just going to be long videos. There's a lot to discuss, and trust me, I'm ready to just narrow in on 1 or 2 different things. I really am. It'll make these videos shorter. I can knock these videos out, go spend time with my family, things like that. But I love talking weather with you guys, and it's just part of a routine that I got, and I'm blessed to have this routine. So if you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over it, and it gives others an opportunity to do so too. And I promise you, people will pray over your prayer requests. So prayer is powerful, so put that in the comments, and we all look out for one another. More importantly, God looks out for you. So let's get rolling. Here it is. I mean, it has that classic massive storm look to it. You got storms down here in the warmer part of this, riding along the front. The potential tornadic storms potentially moving into Dallas over the next couple hours. The blizzard's cranking up on the cold side here, and there's just a lot of precipitation with this upper trough, a cold front coming through, bringing the pattern change. And this is just your classic look of a big-time system right in the middle of the country, and this will usher in a pattern change. And then what happens after that, still in question here. So we look at watches and warnings, all these reds, blizzard warnings. This yellow right here is tornado watches. By the time some of you folks watch this, tornado watches will be expanded east. I'm sure there's a lot of great people who do YouTube basically for the job and is able to go live for you throughout the entire day. Certainly tune in with those guys. There's a lot of people out there who do an excellent job of keeping guys safe, keeping folks safe, and definitely weather aware. But winter storm warnings up for these pink areas, ice storm warnings up in these areas. We'll talk on all this. But this is kind of a now thing. This is developing right now. By the time I make the evening video, the storms will be ongoing. There'll be a lot going on. But one thing that's kind of new here is the winter storm watch is up for these counties in Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Maryland, and Virginia. And there's going to be some icing concerns along with snow concerns, maybe both in certain areas over here. So if you're waking up to winter storm watches and you're in areas of Mid-Atlantic and Northeast right here, that's legitimate. There's going to be a winter storm coming in later this week in a couple days. Really, in about 2 mornings, 48 hours, we're going to be talking about ice in certain areas in the Mid-Atlantic and the mountainous regions of that. But the enhanced region, listen, unfortunately, over the last, I would say, 24 to 36 hours, things have trended worse with this severe weather event. I think about 2 days ago, I mentioned that it was looking a little bit better, but this is trending a little bit worse. It's extended in both directions, east and west. And so you got this pretty big enhanced risk right here. And this is really because of the storms. It's already moving through northern areas of Texas right now. And then we have to watch for prefrontal supercells to form ahead of this line of storms. So you got the enhanced risk. You have a tornado risk, a 10% risk within 25 miles in any given location. Includes Lufkin, Shreveport, Alexandria, Jackson, Mississippi now. And you also have a hatch risk in this area. That is at least a 10% risk to see a stronger tornado of an EF2 or higher. So this is significant. This is a big deal. We don't have a moderate risk, but who knows? It could get upgraded to a moderate risk sometime later this morning or this afternoon. If it does, I'll try to put in the comments below. A lot of times I'll drop these videos and I'll update things, but this has turned a little bit into more of a bigger deal. We hope it doesn't materialize. Kind of like the last severe weather event. It didn't really materialize as bad as it could have, which we were all fortunate for that. But there's also a damaging wind threat, 30% chance of damaging winds pushing 50 knots or higher, 55, 60 miles per hour in these areas. So we got to watch for that too. So let's go on and jump and look at that. These are the storms right here. We look at the radar out of Dallas-Fort Worth area. You got tornado warnings ongoing right now as of 6:04 a.m. Central Time. It's 7:04 in my time. But this is kind of a broken line of storms. I say broken like it's weak or something, but it's not. You got kinks in this storm. Therefore, you got tornado warnings up west of Weatherford, of Dallas-Fort Worth area. And these storms, you got to watch out over the next couple hours. You know, and eventually, this is going to work. Louisiana right here, Arkansas, this is going to work this way. More storms are going to form down here. And you got to watch out for prefrontal storms in this area right here. The parameters, the dynamics, the kinematics, the thermodynamics, they're all going to begin to increase in this area. Low-level moisture is going to really get going. Dew points well into the 60s and even low 70s. Cape values are going to spike in response to that. And, of course, you're going to have the spinning in the atmosphere. The wind pattern is going to be favorable with a 35, 45 knot low-level jet spinning away in these areas, potentially going to be putting a spin to these storms, veering with height. But these storms will blast through Dallas-Fort Worth area. It's going to have a tornado threat with this, and then it begins to really escalate in eastern Texas as we're approaching midday. Temperatures warm, and you start to get some prefrontal cells that form ahead of this line, and we'll go on and switch to Louisiana here and surrounding states. This is around lunchtime, Central Time out here. You see these little kidney bean looks to these storms? This is what we worry for. We'll go on and fast forward this to around early to mid-afternoon, 2 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon here. And we have to be concerned about any of these cells right here. Listen, the environment right here is going to be supportive of tornadoes. So it's important to have Radar Omega, Radar Scope downloaded. The Weather Channel app, yeah, I mean, it's all right. It's free. And I think My Radar is a free app that's pretty good. But listen, Radar Scope's like $10 a year, guys. And you can actually put your location. You can drop an icon where you're at. It's like Google Maps. It's great. And you can... It's a great learning device too. You can look at all kinds of things. The velocity, you can actually see where rotation is with these storms, and it teaches you. It helps you, and I obviously can help you too. If you got any questions, reach out to me on all the social media platforms that we got here. But look at these little storms. All of them can be spinning, so it's going to be a concern. We're getting to later this afternoon. Then you get some big storms starting to cross over the Louisiana-Texas state line here. You got to worry about all of these. This is starting to get, closer to the 4 to 5 p.m. time frame, and these storms start to move in. Watch out Shreveport. Watch out central Louisiana. This becomes a little bit more consolidated, but still there is a concern with embedded tornadoes with this. There's not widespread discrete supercells with this look here, but they're all semi-discrete, and it looks like you have just embedded areas of rotating storms inside this line of storms. And we're getting to after the sun goes down, and we're still going to have an ongoing tornado threat into the overnight hours. We'll stop this. This is just before midnight Central Time. You got nasty storms still moving through far southeast Texas all the way up to near Jackson, Mississippi, and all these can produce a tornado. I'm not saying all of them will, they won't. But you never know which one will. That's why it's just important to keep your eye on the sky today in these areas. I know these areas know all about severe weather, so I know you know, but just please be aware today. And this continues into tomorrow. Tomorrow now has an enhanced risk. I'll talk about that here briefly in a second. But these are dew points. Look how the dew points rise to almost 70 this afternoon in Shreveport. It's even 60s into southern Arkansas. So the atmosphere is going to be ripe for severe weather. You look at the significant tornado parameter, and a lot of people look at this and read it the wrong way. But all you need to do is look at this and just know the higher the number, just know that the more consolidated the areas are where the highest numbers that you see, if you will, that's where the highest tornado threat is. Trying to pick up on the higher tornado threats with each individual cell. But you get the idea. This entire area has a spike in the tornado parameter reaching 4s, 5s. Potentially in this area, and it's going to get dangerous this afternoon, this evening, and overnight. So as this sector of favorable ingredients moves through Louisiana and surrounding states. But let's switch to the north-central U.S. The storm will be cranking up. It's already ongoing. Let's see if I can do this on the fly here. We'll look in Nebraska. Let's try to go up to I believe, North Platte here. Yeah, so here we go. This thing is cranking up right now. Let's see if we can get some motion here. And one thing that's I really wanted to show you guys, because I mentioned it last night, there was a chance for some thunder snow with this. North Platte right here. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Sterling, Colorado here. And this is basically western Nebraska. You see this right here? You see these lightning strikes right here in southwest Nebraska? This basically thunderstorm is moving into cold air. So you're going to have a thunderstorm of snow and sleet moving into cold air into this area. So it's about to really crank up in this area right here into the coming hours. Heavy snow and maybe some thunder snow. If you live way out there, I know it's not a highly populated area, mainly just plains, the plateau basically, but you're going to get some wild weather today, so please be weather aware. But, you know, I think you're used to some pretty wild weather out there in western Nebraska. But we're keeping this going here. Heavy snow will continue to fall in this area. Listen, 40 to 50 mile per hour winds. Some gusts could reach even higher. Maybe even, you might even see a hurricane force wind gust out there. And we keep this going. We're getting into about midday. Heavy snow falling in northeast Colorado, western Nebraska, western South Dakota, all of North Dakota. It looks like mainly rain in Minneapolis, but you don't have to go too far north of town to see freezing rain and sleet and snow. Surface low keeps spinning away. We get to this evening. It's still snowing in all those areas I just mentioned. Might eventually switch to snow in Minneapolis, but look in Wisconsin also. Freezing rain, sleet starting to move into northern Wisconsin. And then as we're getting closer to daybreak, the UP of Michigan begins to get into some wintry weather. Maybe some of this could be heavy too, waking up tomorrow morning in northern Wisconsin and the western UP of Michigan. But eventually cold air wraps all the way around the surface low. And then it doesn't matter how much warm, moist air is to the surface low. Enough cold air is going to get in. And it looks like almost a snow cane out here, but not really, literally. But it just keeps snowing. This is all the way through tomorrow morning. But snowfall between now and tomorrow morning, I mean, you're going to get 2 to 3 inch per hour rates potentially at times. This is just between now and tomorrow morning. We'll talk more on the longevity of it a little bit tonight, but you know, a foot of snow could fall. Certainly possible over the next 24 hours in these areas of South Dakota and Nebraska, and a lot of snow in these areas also up here. But northeast Colorado, western Wyoming, you know, 8 to 12 inches of snow, widespread for sure. The southeast, pretty quiet for most of the day, but also, you know, you're watching the storms to the west, but of course these won't reach into this area for our Tuesday. But of course we're getting into the overnight hours, and these storms, basically if you're in northern Mississippi all the way to the Gulf Coast in Mississippi, getting into Alabama, waking up tomorrow, we got to watch out for a severe weather event tomorrow for Wednesday. But we'll talk about that tonight. But we certainly need to watch some favorable conditions for severe weather in this area tomorrow, that's for sure. The Northeast, quiet day. Make preparations if you're in the higher elevations of West Virginia, Maryland, Virginia, and even the hills of southern Pennsylvania. We could have an ice storm coming up starting Thursday morning. So cut any loose tree limbs, whatever you got to do. But today will be very quiet all the way through tomorrow morning. Not a whole lot going on. Maybe some snow into areas of Maine. But outside of that, it looks pretty quiet. And like I said here, you got winter storm watches up for these areas in this little teal blue color right here. So you definitely need to watch out for ice in these areas. I think ice is going to be a big concern, especially in these southern counties of West Virginia, Maryland, and Virginia that are under winter storm watches. I think it's mainly driven off ice, but you're going to get snow too, so we need to watch out. Going forward, guys, tomorrow there's an enhanced risk. This isn't good news. The severe weather threat is actually uptrended for this area, and this is a pretty big enhanced risk. So things have trended higher for this. So we'll talk about this tonight. We'll try to give you updated information on this. All I can say is there's also a 10% risk of a tornado within 25 miles in a given location, and also a hatch risk for a stronger tornado. We'll get detailed on this tonight. So stick with me with this, because you folks down in New Orleans, Mobile, and then areas points north need to be aware of this. Not scared, but aware. And then also, for Thursday, there's a slight risk for severe storms in this yellow area right here, southeast Georgia, the coastal sections of South Carolina, and a lot of Florida. So really quickly, we'll go over this winter storm for the Northeast coming up. And the Amazon range, It already shows ice coming up as early as overnight Wednesday into Thursday morning. Here comes this pink. That is freezing rain. A lot of freezing rain. You know, we'll go all the way through Thursday afternoon. You still got freezing rain down here in West Virginia, and Maryland. And, yeah, so this is the beginning stages of this storm. We're in range of the NAM. Front end thumping of snow from this. But, like I said, we'll get a little bit more detailed on this tonight. I want to let some of these model runs play through. We'll be in range of the short-range models. And but I can tell you the blend of all models with the storm coming up, you got snow mixing with the ice down here. Several inches of snow. But this isn't looking like some blockbuster storm, though. Several inches of snow is certainly likely. Some areas could go over a foot. But definitely not as an impactful storm system as that we were thinking maybe about 3 or 4 days ago. And certainly not going to be a snowstorm for the I-95 corridor of mid-Atlantic to the northeast, Washington, D.C. to the Boston. So looks like this is just going to be rain for you guys. The low pressure is not tracking favorable. We'll leave it with this. The ensemble runs as far as this pattern change. And I know I'm not getting as detailed as I did in yesterday morning's video, but I got to start cutting this a little bit short here and get a little bit more detail in the evening videos and really focusing on the days specifically in the morning videos. But I will tell you from the overnight model guidance, we'll stop this at around Thursday midday, December 22nd, a few days before Christmas. One thing I'll tell you is the operational runs do not match up with the ensembles. You got the GFS, the ensembles, or the GEFS. You got the European, the ensembles is the EPS. Normally, in the long range, which 228 hours out is the long range, we rely more on the ensembles. But still, you can't just totally ignore the operational runs. So I can tell you, the operational runs won't allow the cold air to dump further west, which means areas in the central and western U.S. get all the cold. And then sometimes if this dumps too far and too hard, basically west, it causes the southeast ridge to flex. It's just like when you push down on kind of a smooth surface or something, or you push down on your bed, then the areas around it will bubble up, if you will, if that makes any sense. It's kind of like the jet stream. You get a huge dip right here, and then it pushes the other areas around it up, and that causes a ridge as you push down in between it. So you look at this, and this looks like it's dumping pretty far west. This would put Texas and all the plain states into the freezer. But you look at the GEFS ensembles for the same time frame, it dumps it much further east, which puts the storm track more favorable for the east. Same thing with the European, dumps all the cold air far west, but the ensemble dumps it further east. Total disagreement in the medium to long range at this. So we got to figure this out. This is a tricky situation, and one's got the trend to the other eventually, but one run is not a trend. Remember that. So that's all I got, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll be with you guys you folks this evening, and please stay safe out there. Stay weather aware. God bless.